Tonight, the Port of LA facing an unprecedented new storm that threatens to upend everything, from jobs to the price of goods to what is available on our store shelves. When it comes to the global economy, few places are as vital or as vulnerable as the Port of Los Angeles. It's the busiest in North America and literally at the front lines of the nation's supply chain crisis. The port has powered record-breaking growth and kept our economy moving through the darkest days of the pandemic here in Southern California. But now, with President Trump's 145% tariffs on China and 10% on nearly all other goods, the alarm bells are sounding off. Inbound shipments from China have all but stopped, and overall cargo is plunging by 35% in just 2 weeks. The stakes could not be higher for workers, businesses, and every American consumer. The port's executive director, Seroka, is the man navigating this historic downturn. It is on him to safeguard jobs and keep the supply chain moving through what is being called uncharted waters. And he's here to help break down what is at stake. Thank you for coming in.
Good to see you, Giselle.
So you are sounding the alarms. How dire is this situation? Put it all into context, what you're facing.
Yeah, we really haven't witnessed this before. Dating back to last summer during the campaign trail, folks started talking about tariffs and trade policy. Some importers began to advance inventory. So for 9 months, we've seen elevated imports into the Port of Los Angeles as folks tried to prepare themselves, average down costs for the day they thought was coming, which did on April 2nd. And now what we're seeing at the end of that advanced inventory in the next 2 weeks, as you've just stated, our business is going to be down 35%, and the weeks to come will be similar.
And you saying that this shipments from China will come to a halt. And let me ask you this. Is this all about Trump's tariffs, or is this fallout, too, from the pandemic?
Oh, it's all about the tariffs. Prices on products coming out of China are now 2.5 times more than they were just last month. Major importers, retailers, manufacturers are saying, we're not sure if this is going to end in 2 days, 2 weeks, or 2 months. Let's hit the pause button and wait.
So you're looking at immediate price hikes and shortages. Have you spoke to retailers and manufacturers? Do they tell you that they have the inventory and how they're going to manage these shortages?
I have, Giselle. And what they're telling me from the retail side is that they've got about 5 to 7 weeks of normal inventory left. After that, it starts to leak down. And what you may see are not necessarily completely empty shelves, but fewer items to select from. So if you're looking for that blue shirt in the right size and style, you may find 11 purple ones and only one that may not fit what you want. And what we see is that the price is going to be hiked because of the limited selection.
So the port, huge critical economic engine for us here, $500 billion in revenues, I'm hearing, for Southern California, 2 million jobs. How does this affect the truckers, the warehouse workers, the dock workers? How does this impact your workforce?
Oh, this is going to be a big deal. Truckers who are following the cargo right now and hauling 4 to 5 loads a day will likely be hauling 2 to 3 after next week. Dock workers who are beginning OT and running back-to-back shifts typically now will work less than a traditional 40-hour work week. Warehousing, the same thing. So it's going to impact all. Fewer containers mean fewer jobs at the port.
So what are you hearing, if any, feedback from the federal government? And today the president just spoke in the last few days, and he basically called this strategic uncertainty. But if you don't know what the strategy is, how do you then navigate so you can mitigate some of the crisis?
It's difficult. And trying to recap what the impacts are very important for policymakers and elected officials alike. But we're starting to see a crack in the door. Whether it was Tim Cook from Apple who said we need a little relief on electronics goods, and we saw that happen, to the retailers who were just in Washington last week from Target and Walmart, and today it was announced that maybe there's a reprieve for the auto market. Let's see if we can build coalitions, whether it's the ag folks from the Central Valley in California, our ports, as well as retailers. Let's talk about what the impact is on the ground. The International Longshore and Warehouse Union put out a strong note this week saying that less cargo will mean fewer job opportunities. We've got to take that to heart.
And what about fears of a recession? From your vantage point, what do you see the future holds in the immediate?
Yeah, it was just in November where many of us were wringing our hands about 4% inflation and what that was going to mean to us longer term. Now we've added these tariffs, which will be passed through right to the American consumer. And even the other countries with 10% tariffs means that it's 10% more expensive than it was just a month ago. I see prices upticking, and how does the consumer react? Families are telling me they're tightening that budget just a little bit right now.
What do you think this actually means for the future of global trade as it comes through the Port of LA? Some say, look, this is a temporary blip. Does this damage permanent, do you think?
I was just in Europe talking to some of the biggest shipping lines 2 weeks ago. Having worked in China for 4 years, I've been on the phone every night with colleagues and friends. Folks they're really upset right now. They're not sure about what it means. 90% of trade moves on water, making our port so important to many families. 1 in 9 jobs, Southern California, emanate from this port. That's 1 million folks who go to work every day, counting on us to do our job.
Obviously, a lot of people have so much uncertainty around this. They're worried about their jobs. They're worried about the price on the shelves. But what about you? What are you most worried about when you see morale slipping and, your whole industry really in limbo?
Yeah, I worry about the folks who are putting kids through school, putting food on the table, them not really having the perception of the bigger picture here that's at hand. We've got to get to the doing of putting these frameworks, in the administration's words, together to keep this global trade moving. 70% of our economy is you and me buying. That's so important to this international trade component. We're trying to rally our folks at the office down in San Pedro and working around the port area to make sure they know we've got a strong financial policy in place. We're going to weather this, but we've got to get this thing moving in the right direction.
Just really quickly, ever seen anything like it?
No. We've seen quick drop-offs like during COVID and a pickup that was very fast. We're prepared for that if it does happen. But Giselle, it's going to take a month. If we got a trade deal today with China to reposition all those ships, then it's another 2 weeks to get the cargo here. We've got a little bit of time here in limbo where we really need to understand where this is going.
Gene Seroka, thank you so much for coming in. Really appreciate your time and wish you the best of luck. I hope you'll come back soon to the Rush Hour.
Thank you, Giselle.
Thank you. All right, stay with us, everyone. The Rush Hour returns in a few minutes.